This video covers the new Enterprise Manager inventory system. It is General Ledger based, using General Ledger transactions which are transmitted to accounting software like QuickBooks or Peachtree. To access the General Ledger transactions, you enter the Finance module and click on the Manage GL Transactions action item. This would be a list of all of the items that need to be transmitted to the accounting software. There is nothing here for this demonstration yet. I'm going to leave this open and operate it in another window in order to demonstrate what happens as we undertake each action. I'm going to access the SKU lookup window, which is easily accessed from here, and I'm going to search for my test SKU. This window now has a location selection which dictates what data you see. I'm going to edit this SKU, and you can see there's a new company locations section which shows each company location and allows you to set the GL account used to house the inventory and the stock level and a note. You can see this has a reorder level of 30 and no on hand. On hands are adjusted by right clicking and going to Manage Inventory and clicking Adjust On Hand. As you can see, this item still has no costs associated with it. So we can revalue our inventory, which can be done anytime that number doesn't seem correct. It's warning me that this is going to have an impact to the bottom line of the company. The answer is yes. This question exists really for people who are implementing this while they already have an existing inventory system. The question is whether these items that are being accounted for are already in an asset account. You can see now that Des Moines has 15 on hand at an on-hand landed cost of $15. If we pop back over to our GL transactions and hit reload, you can now see the transactions which are going to charge this to the company's general ledger by transferring from an asset account into a cost of goods or vice versa. These items can be right-clicked on, and if they have a job associated or GL count or a SKU, you'll get those menus. For SKU adjustments, you can actually edit the transaction, which will cause a reposting. Now we're going to do an on-hand adjustment, and we're going to say we lost 5 of them somewhere along the way. And we're going to see that there is an on-hand adjustment from 15 to 10, start cost of $15 a piece. So there's a transfer, again, from an asset to an expense of $75. We can edit that SKU adjustment from here if it turned out that something was incorrect about it. And you will see now some of these have been reversed. The reversed ones are inactivated, or they're grayed out, I should say. They're still going to transfer to accounting. They're just going to equal each other out. We can use this drop down to change how we're grouping. So if we just want to see account totals, we can see account totals. If we just want to see job totals, we can see job totals. Generally, you're going to export this to accounting and use a utility to import it. From the Manage Inventory window, we can allocate stock to a job. We can key in a job number. This is my testing job. At $15 a piece. If I go to that job now and click on the stock SKU consumption item, you'll see I have $15 a piece times 4 equals $60, and we can see how they got here. That on this date and time I moved 4 by consuming them. can see now the transaction that moved them. Actually, let's go back to our SKU lookup. And let's run resource planning, manufacturing resource planning, MRP on this. Tell it I want to run it for Des Moines. We'll just do simple mode. So it's suggesting an order of 25 because we have a reorder level of 30 and an on-hand of 5. Let's go back to my test job. And go to simple SKU commitments. Commit in Des Moines 25 of them that I need by next Tuesday. We're going to say this is not something that reduces by commitments. What that means is that I expect the 25 to be used up in things that will commit themselves, like shipments and tasks. Otherwise, I'm just saying I just need 25 in addition to anything else that comes from any other demand. And I can put some notes to say this is for whatever it's for. I'm not sure why that was still red. It shouldn't have been. And now when we go look at our SKU, we can see there are 21 committed. And we can see here where they're committed and when they're going to be and what's going to happen to the on-hand at that point. Right now, we've started with 5 and we're going to use 16, or 21, I'm sorry, on this date, and the on-hand is going to drop to negative 16. Let's create some more demand for it by putting it in a shipment. And we'll schedule this shipment for the 7th. There's a few other ways to cause demand, but we're not going to cover that right now. We're just going to go look at what our SKU now has 44 committed, and we can see when and where and what's going to happen to the on-hand. So let's run manufacturer resource planning, Des Moines. The difference between simple and complex mode is that simple mode is if I know about it, I order it. And complex mode looks at the actual lead time to determine how much we should need. So let's just run it and see what we get each way. Thinks we should order 69 using the simple method. We got the same result here because the on-hand, it doesn't have a lead time here, so it's using our final last-ditch padded lead time setting, which is something like 12 or 14 days. So that covers this period. If we edit this shipment and push it out, we can re-MRP it using complex mode. And it's saying that we only need to order 46 right now. So we're going to take its advice and create the requests. Need to delete that part. Alright, so now we can see that there are 46 on order. And we can see in our activities pane that we've started with 5. The on-hand is going to go negative here, and then it's going to kick back up. It's assuming that this is the ETA. And you'll see that it's getting that ETA from the MRP average lead days setting. If we actually put an ERP on the, an ETA on the item itself, then it will move it to wherever that is. And otherwise it'll use the SKU's lead time or the vendor's lead time. But we don't have any of that data yet. So, let's go to requested items. We see our request here. We can see where it came from. We see the SKU's activities. We can see that the SKU has 21 in simple jobs and 23 in shipping. We're going to go ahead and place this order. And we're going to go ahead and receive it. I know this doesn't make sense, but the computer will accept it. We're going to indicate that this was received on Tuesday. And we received 46 of them. Now you can see we have 51 on hand and 44 committed. So we're sitting in pretty good shape. Let's hop back over here and take a look at our general ledger. None of what we've done has actually created any general ledger transactions because it was simply on-hand adjustments by receiving, which don't cause anything. If we go now and pull up that purchase order, and we're going to say an invoice came in. And we received invoice 46 at $155 with $46 of freight. I'm not going to attach a file. And then this is our transfer to accounting software to transfer the invoice. Let's go take a look at what's happened to our SKU. You can see we now have 51 on hand, 44 committed. We have an on-hand landed cost of $142.17, which isn't the same as what this purchase order we just received came in at. The actual ordered average landed cost is $155, and the average cost, not including landing, is $155. So we haven't. They're not the same because we've got drastically different dollar amounts having come in, and they're being averaged out using an weighted average. Let's flip back over and see what we have. Nothing new. From that job, we can actually return these to stock. And we no longer have anything in there. If we pop back in, I want to show you that this inventory system can handle going negative. This item no longer has any costs with it, and the on-hand is negative 45. And you'll see 100 got transferred to this job at that landed cost. Now that it no longer has a cost basis, this is where a lot of accounting software breaks down. What happens if we allocate some more? And remember, this allocation can happen automatically by the system when a CNC sheet's used, or when an assembly is completed, or when a stock item is loaded onto a shipment. So now the on-hand's super negative. Now you can see that this job has in fact incurred the costs. It just uses the last good price that it had and goes from there. You can always update, you can always go fix it. Let's go look at what the GL looks like. So here we have the transfer of the first batch, and here we have the transfer of the second batch. Now to actually transfer this into accounting, we're just going to click Export into Accounting. It's going to save a CSV file. It's going to ask if we want to open it. And the contents are pretty much whatever was on screen. So if you want to transfer using individual items, that's fine. We say yes, mark and accounting, they'll be gone. If you want to transfer just by account, you can do that just simply by selecting this. This will remember your selection. The system MRP will automatically run for all of the facilities that are active. So you don't have to select this facility like you do in your manual. And it will properly generate the required requests for each facility, which is a change from the older version. Let's pop back to our job. There's no such thing as a purchase order item allocation transfer, which is how the old system worked. So when you click on your job, you'll see cost of goods, which no longer includes inventory items. Cost of inventory separate. Cost of labor will start showing up down here in a future build. And total including specting. Won't have any more of the on-hands that update themselves whenever a new build comes out. That's gone. And this system is much faster. Completing assemblies and tasks should be pretty much immediate. Coming up in the future will be a requisition system where someone can request stuff to be brought to them, and the ability to charge out a whole task at a time and basically sell the inventory to the person using it instead of waiting and doing it when the inventory is, or when the assembly is complete. To have a caged system like Energy is going to have, and then coming up after, and then to be able to return what's not used. And coming up after that will be the ability to set outputs from a task. So you could create a task to generate a stock item, and then the output of that, when it's completed, will go into inventory at whatever cost you've specified. I want to cover two last things. First of all, the SKU lookup window is much faster than it used to be. Searches are nearly instantaneous now. I can even do all my SKUs for all locations faster than it used to be. And then for people watching this who aren't already using the system, I want to show how this shop floor can interact. The shop floor pretty much accesses everything through the shop access window, and they can actually request items to be ordered by SKU, and they can allocate a SKU, and they can simply scan a barcode, or they can look it up. They can put in their job number and their quantity. That's it.